Look at that. I fucking said it. It's crazy how somebody can be on so much fucking copium. They can see this graph and like the dog in that.
I mean, I'll be honest. I don't even know if it, like, Assassin's Creed doesn't just like have to do good. It has to do like phenomenal in terms of sales, because like yeah, look at the graph here. Look at how bad this is. Like, Ubi is plummeting right now.
They're cooked releasing 2025. Well, I'm sure they might get on the list for Game of the Year. Like the top 6, right? Maybe, right? It depends on what other games come out that year. But yeah, maybe they'll be on the list, right? Maybe best story, something like that. But yeah, anyway.
I don't even know about that. Let's be honest.
Let's go back and look at the rest of this. Desire typical features. We'll also use the extra time to complement the experience with a few high-impact secondary quests that will bring even more memorable moments. Additionally, as a result of listening to our player feedback on other topics and releases, starting with Assassin's Creed Shadows will be again available on Steam on launch day. There it is.
Yeah, they know. That's actually so funny. They know exactly how much they need this money, and so they're like, yeah, actually we're gonna release it on Steam off rip too. We've literally never done that before, but we're gonna do that this time because we need to.
You couldn't live with your own failure. And where did that bring you?
Papa Gabe.
Back to me.
That's so funny. Bro, you play as trash.
They all come crawling back. Please, Gavin.
Does anybody actually like play games on Uplay? Like all of the Uplay games I play, I have them on Steam. Like Trackmania, The Division, Rainbow Six. I think that's literally it, and I play all of them through Steam. Like obviously it launches Uplay, but I've literally never opened Uplay to launch a game before in my life.
You only want 30%? That's it? Oh, that's okay. We don't need that.
That being said, Steam is objectively the best platform to sell games
on Steam.
Like, I guess obviously if you can make your own platform, that would technically be better. But then you have to upkeep the platform and all of that shit, and I can't imagine that that's easier. Just launch your fucking games on Steam.
He's a gracious man. And he allowed it.
That picture, the Jesus picture.
So also we're currently rethink our season pass model for our upcoming games.
Yeah, they're single player games, you fucks.
Maybe somebody can send this to them. Nobody wants a season pass on a single player game. It's fucking stupid. There's no reason for it. You are ham-fisting a Fortnite mechanic into a single player game that nobody wants, nobody asked for. What the fuck is wrong with you? Beyond the first important short-term actions that I've outlined above, the company's top management will focus on accelerating the improvement of our accelerating. Where's they're gonna make 5 AAA games a year now, and publishing practices to process in close collaboration with these teams, with the objective to put players at the heart of our decisions. We will
with the objective to put money at the heart of their decisions. Players, my ass.
Regularly update you on the progress that we're making. Lastly, I'd like to address the recent polarized coverage around our creative choices. So this is probably about, like, you know, the Star Wars Outlaws, Yasuke, etc. We are an entertainment company. As such, our objective is not to endorse any specific agenda. Yes, it obviously is. You are obviously endorsing
I don't understand. I don't understand where this like mentality of agenda is the same thing as like a conspiracy has come from, because like an agenda just means a plan. So first of all, from like a base level, this statement doesn't make any sense. If you don't have an agenda, that means you don't have any plan. And if that's true, you shouldn't be a company. Second of all, like, the issue here is not that you have an agenda. It's really not even that you have a political agenda. Realistically, the issue here is that you're pretending to have an agenda and then also trying to pretend to not have an agenda. And so you're literally making everybody mad, right? Because you're trying to have this like political messaging in your games, but you're doing it so badly that it's abundantly clear that you don't give a shit about the messages that you're trying to push, and B, the messages that you're pushing don't even really make sense. You're just kind of like throwing shit at a wall that's vaguely resembles activism. And so the issue here is you're like you're kind of politicizing your games, and so you're making right-leaning people upset, but then you're politicizing your games in like stupid ways, like putting a black man in a samurai game. And it's like, it's the same thing as Mrs. Freeze, right? Like nobody can look at that skin, right? It's like the Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, right? Like nobody wants this. Nobody asked for this. This isn't like like calling this pride is honestly ridiculous. This isn't pride. This is like this is a shitty attempt to capitalize off pride. Like that, you can't even say that this is capitalizing off pride. What Target and Kohl's do by having pride sections during Pride Month, that is capitalizing off pride. This is literally just like, it's so bad. This is gonna make everybody mad. Obviously, this is gonna make everybody mad. Who is ever gonna want this? Like, I'm sorry if you do genuinely like this skin and like this game, and you're playing it and you're playing with this skin and this character. But like, for a majority of people, this is so clearly like a half-assed, shitty attempt at pandering to queer people. And so when you do dumb shit like this, when you do dumb shit like what Ubisoft's doing with Kyphxr or whatever the fuck, and the Assassin's Creed game, it becomes so abundantly clear. And then they did the statue with the Tory gate. That's the symbol of the nuclear bombs from World War II, and it's so abundantly clear that they don't give a shit. And so there's nobody that wants this. Like, people have been saying for years that games are woke, and it's gotten to the point where it's like ridiculous. Like, I think Ackman said it best whenever the boy who cries wolf, whenever you say that everything is woke, then nobody gives a shit when things start becoming woke. And I think Ubisoft right now is an actual example of a company genuinely being woke. Right? Because it's the same concept of like what we call video game tourists. When people come to a community for a game and they don't actually care about the game, they just care that the game is popular at the moment, and so they can use it as a soapbox to preach whatever it is they want to say. And regardless of whether or not you agree with whatever they're using the soapbox for, it's annoying and cringy because that's not what you're there for. You're there to play a fucking game. And so when people do shit like that, and so obviously don't care about the game, it becomes frustrating and it annoys a lot of people. And so we call those people video game tourists. And this is like the exact same concept. Ubisoft is like pulling the dumbest Uno reverse card ever, and they're like trying to be activism tourists, which, if you understand anything about anything, fundamentally doesn't make any sense, because you're pretending to be an activist, which means anybody who actually gives a shit about activism, you're gonna make mad, and you're pretending to be an activist, so anybody who gets mad at activism is gonna get mad. Do you see how there's not very many people left? When you make both sides left, you're left with this really small sliver that's gonna enjoy your content, and that small sliver is like the 6 people on Twitter. right? That's the real problem here. The problem isn't having an agenda. It's not even having a political agenda. It's this stupid fucking grifting that companies are doing where they're trying to like read demographics and jump on like any kind of activism, any kind of anything that they can hold on to and capitalize off of. And it's like, holy shit, guys, just make games. You're a game development studio. Try developing a goddamn game. I think it would be crazy what would happen if you guys just stopped doing stupid shit like this.
An agenda, if you provide different type, like, wasn't there like a Ubisoft, like a recent Ubisoft, what's the word for it? Mentorship program or internship program that was only available to people that weren't men?
Oh, I've never understood those kind of programs. Like,
that was, I know that there was a CD Projekt Red, but I believe that there was another one for Ubisoft. Can I find this?
I'll let him talk for a second, and then I'll get my thoughts on that. Let's see what he says.
On the site, Ubisoft, the company promotes its Develop at Ubisoft program, stating at their Develop at Ubisoft eligibility criteria, identify as a woman or a non-binary individual. You absolutely have a fucking agenda.
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with the agenda. Okay, let's look. Exactly. This is what I was saying. So, if you look here, you can see, number one, that the agenda, if there is an agenda, is clearly not working. There is a very predominantly male workforce over here at Ubisoft. There's no question that this is a male-dominated industry, and it's unsurprising that Ubisoft is a male-dominated company. Having a system in place to encourage women and non-binary people to apply to work at your company, I wouldn't say that's having an agenda. That, first of all, as we can see here, you can see by the amount of change here. So it's what? It's been a 4% decrease in the amount of men who have worked here since 2020. So this program very clearly is not doing anything. And what I was saying is these programs always feel like he mentioned that CD Projekt Red has one too. They always feel like a self-report, because if you need a program specifically for women and non-binary people to apply to work at your company, like, isn't that just an admission that your standard hiring process is discriminatory against women and non-binary people? Like, I feel like this is a weird band-aid solution when the solution should just be, hey, let's not discriminate against people in our standard hiring positions, instead of creating this weird way for women to apply to work at our company because we don't like hiring women. Like, programs like this always feel like a self-report to me, more than like an actual agenda. Like, not only that, but I'm not a lawyer, and so I'm not familiar enough with the laws specifically regarding this, but I don't know that there's anything actually, like, whenever they create a program like this, I don't know that is there any legal requirement for them to actually hire people into these positions? Like, you can put these things up on your website, but then that just kind of goes back to what I was saying before about how it's all just like fake activism. They don't actually give a shit about hiring non-binary people and women. We can clearly see this. It's been the exact same over the past 3 years. There's been no change. And so, obviously, like I don't know, it seems pretty clear to me that this is the same kind of thing as like Disney World changing its introductions from ladies and gentlemen to dreamers of all ages. Like, Disney doesn't give a shit about non-binary people or trans people. Disney just gives a shit about money. Disney thinks and or knows that if they say that it will encourage people to spend more money. They don't actually care about rights. They don't actually care about the individuals of the demographics. They only give a shit about demographics insofar as how much money they can squeeze out of them. And so I don't know that I'd necessarily call this activism, but I guess it is still the same vein as like this is what I was saying earlier. Like the pretending to be an activist is just going to make everybody mad because you're not actually making any difference, but you're like virtue signaling that you are.
Non-binary individual, you absolutely have a fucking agenda.
That being said, I think that's a bad example of, like, I don't think that's them having an agenda, but I do think that they do have an agenda. This is a stupid thing to say. Why is the main character of your Samurai Assassin's Creed game black? Right? Why can't you like rob police officers in Star Wars Outlaws? Like, there is some amount of an agenda, and it's like I said, it's just done in a wrong way, and so nobody's happy about it. But yeah, that's not having an agenda.
That is abso-fucking-lutely an agenda.
Trying to hire more non-binary people, not even that. Saying that you're gonna hire more non-binary people and then not hiring more non-binary people is definitely not having an agenda.
Get the fuck out of here. You're obviously lying. You have an agenda. You're trying to push it. You got called out on it, and you're trying to pretend like it doesn't exist. That's the Uno reversed racist card. Yeah, they're like, oh.
Also, there's a difference between having and endorsing an agenda. If you want to hire more women and more non-binary people, that doesn't mean you have an agenda. An agenda would be like making your game tell people that they should be, I guess, like trans and non-binary is the argument, but this isn't what they're talking about. Like, it clearly says endorse, not have. There's a difference between an endorsement and having an agenda. Having an agenda, yeah, you can have an agenda to have more women in your workforce. That's not the same thing as an endorsing one to the public.
We don't have one. It's in plain sight. Everybody can see this.
Yeah, he's just not reading that right.
So what? Some governments do the same. They need more women in tech. There's less than 1% in my comp. Why do you need more women in tech?
Well, we don't need more women in tech. We need a fair opportunity for women in tech. Like, yeah, that chatter's wrong. We don't specifically need to have more women in tech. We need to have fair opportunities for women who are skilled enough to be in the technological field to be in that field. Because as it stands, that's clearly not what's happening.
Why? That's right, you don't. You don't. You need more qualified people in tech.
Yeah, exactly. And so the point of those kind of programs is not because we need more women in tech. It's meant to give women a non-discriminatory chance to apply, which, like I said, is like a weird, stupid self-report, because shouldn't that just be your standard hiring process?
Happen to be women, then they should get the job. You need more women? Why? That's so stupid. Hire based on merit. Yes, it's not even a question. Our mission has always been to entertain players and enrich their lives with original and memorable experiences that resonate with a global audience.
Yeah, that's why we put put the broken fucking gate on the statue of an Assassin's Creed character.
Oh god. They don't endorse a specific agenda. You are absolutely pushing an agenda. Every normal person can see it. Anybody with a fucking brain can see it. That's why all of the comments and all of the responses are about you pushing an agenda. So you can't say that you're not pushing an agenda when you're making internship programs that exclude men categorically, which is like just straight up fucking discrimination. And on top of that...
Discrimination. You're right, everybody. Ubisoft has been discriminating against men, as clearly shown. Men are being blocked from working at Ubisoft, and it's been getting worse over the years. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, clear-cut discrimination, right? Because having a program that adds additional opportunities from women is the same thing as taking away opportunities from men, right? Like, what?
You're adding in characters and then trying to take narratives. You're taking historical characters and you're changing their sexualities, and you're saying this is not an agenda. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I mean, this is a stupid thing to say. To say you don't have an agenda is dumb, especially when you clearly do. Especially when you're doing it in such a stupid way. Again, Assassin's Creed is like so this is a stupid statement. To say we're not trying to endorse an agenda, you are trying. I mean, I guess that's technically true. They're not trying to endorse an agenda. They're trying to pander to this imaginary crowd that doesn't exist, that they think exists, that they think wants this. They think there's people who want this. They think there's like this, like, what I think has happened here is that people have talked about the woke mob for so long. The companies like Ubisoft and like a lot of games journalists have started believing that there's like this huge woke mob of people, and that's never really existed. But now, because of so many like companies and journalists that are trying to pander to this imaginary crowd, they've kind of created this like self-fulfilling prophecy where they themselves have become the woke mob. And that's what I was saying before with Ubisoft, or they're like pulling a dumbass Uno reverse card and like trying to be activist, but doing it in a way that's obvious that they don't actually give a shit about the activism. And so they've become the woke mob, and then journalists who want to stay in good graces of these companies write positive articles and reviews for games like Concord and Kill the Justice League and Star Wars Outlaws, and then they're writing shitty reviews for games like Black Myth Wukong and like Space Marine 2. And it's super ridiculous because they're trying to cater to an audience that literally does not exist. Like they have this idea that there's this like super woke audience out there, but there's no one who's receiving this. Nobody likes this. There is no woke mob that they're selling to, but they're trying to sell to a woke mob, and so we're getting this really weird effect where they're just making everybody mad.
An agenda. It obviously is. Anybody can see that. That's not discrimination.
Yeah, it's not.
You fucking retard. It is.
No, it's not.
If you are offering business opportunities to other people based off of discriminatory reasons like age, sex, or sexual orientation, you abso-fucking-lutely are discriminating. That's the...
What? Discrimination is like unfairly taking away opportunities from other people. Adding an additional program to bring in female and non-binary interns, it is not that's not taking away opportunities from men. That's just adding opportunities for people who aren't men. That's literally not the same thing. That's actually so fucking stupid.
The way it is. That's textbook discrimination.
So discrimination is to treat someone differently or less favorably for some reason. Let's see, where is this? Identify as a woman or wait, this isn't even... Oh my fucking god, that's an even stupider statement than I thought. This isn't a hiring program. This is a program that offers a 1-year mentorship. You create a project based on a predetermined theme, and you will be mentored by an Ubisoft expert over a fixed period. During this time, they will receive feedback to help build their project. This is not a job opportunity. This is a program. This is a program where you basically have an Ubisoft employee come help you build a game. Literally, what are we talking about? Yeah, maybe I'm just misreading this, but this sounds like a glorified school project. Like, actually, what are we talking about? This is nothing. This is a nothing burger of a program. This program, like I said, it gives you an Ubisoft expert for 1 year to work on a predetermined a project based on a predetermined theme. So it's not even like you get to make your own game. You get to make your own game based on a theme that Ubisoft chooses. And they're also not even saying game, they're saying project. So who the fuck knows what it is that you're making? So if that's why this is the exact same. This is not for hiring people. Okay. And then again, even if it was, let's say for the sake of the argument, let's say that at the end of this process you get a job at Ubisoft. This is not like Ubisoft's exclusive internship program. They have normal internships and normal student and graduate programs. Like, this is just, even if this is a hiring process, it's just an extra one so women don't get discriminated against, which, like I said, I feel like should just be covered in your basic hiring process, right? Like, it feels like a self-report when you do this. And considering the history of Ubisoft, I would say that this is a kind of a smoke and mirrors self-report.
You're obviously lying. You have an agenda. You're trying to push it.
That is true. That they definitely have an agenda. They have an agenda, and that agenda is to change the public perception of them as sexual offenders and rapists, and I guess to make money, but they're not doing that. So
called out on it.
They're trying to make themselves look better. Like, they got called out on nothing. This is nothing. What they're getting called out on is dumb shit like having a black samurai, because it doesn't make any sense and it's just painfully fake activism.
That's textbook discrimination. That's like saying, well, I mean, we don't want black people coming in here. Well, I mean, it could go somewhere else, right? Just
no, it would. What? No, it would be like having a program where black people. What? No, go ahead. Someone go ahead and show me where it says here that that these are the requirements to be an Ubisoft employee. I'd love to see it. Right? But I mean, it's textbook discrimination, right? Textbook discrimination, right? Men are clearly being discriminated against at Ubisoft.
It's like, not here. Well, that's discrimination. We don't want to hire them. We don't want to hire them. Why? Because they're black. Well, that's bad, right?
One, this doesn't, unless, again, maybe I'm misunderstanding, but this is not a hiring process. Number two, if it was, it's an additional program. It's not their core hiring process, and you know that.
Hey, we had a whole thing with that. Think about how bad that is. That guy must be a bot. Holy fuck, is he? I'll tell you why they do this. They do it because they're you're just misconstruing their arguments,
right? And only picking out bits and pieces. What you said is like categorically false. Where's the discrimination? This isn't a hiring program. If it is, this is an additional program, so it's still not discriminating because nowhere they have standard internship opportunities for both men and women right here. Having an additional opportunity for women and non-binary people is not discrimination.
They are brainwashed into thinking that treating people that have had historical advantages badly is actually good.
Okay. I understand what he's saying. Again, misconstruing the argument. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's advocating for that. Nowhere in here does it say you should treat men badly. That's a stupid fucking straw man. Bro, this is a program for non-binary people to get to make a school project with an Ubisoft employee. What the fuck are you talking about? This does not bar men from applying to work at Ubisoft. I'll show this one more time.
That's why. Yeah, how are people this stupid? They're not stupid. They're self-serving and they are brainwashed.
That is true, but you're projecting. Well, you're not brainwashed. The chat is brainwashed. You're self-serving. Because you know the chat is brainwashed.
They're self-serving and they are brainwashed. That's it.
Right, because when you stop and think about anything that Asmongold said over the past like 10 minutes, it's been incredibly fucking stupid, right? Nothing that he's saying is making any sense. This is not discrimination. It does not take away any opportunities from men. For the billionth time, this has nothing to do with hiring people. It's incredibly disingenuous to present it in this way, because that's not what this is. And again, if it was, it would be an additional opportunity, which is again, not discrimination.
Just reverse the characteristic? Yeah. It's like, basically, if you want to find out if something's discrimination, if you did this to another group of people, would it be bad? And if the answer is yes, then it's bad.
If you have a program for exclusively black people, do a mentorship program, it's bad. If you have a program exclusively for men to do a project, it's bad. No, I'm not seeing it. Right? We can pretend that the argument here is that men aren't allowed to work at Ubisoft, but think about that for like half a second and you understand that that's dumb as shit, right? Because that's clearly not what's happening. And so if that is what's happening, if men are being barred from working at Ubisoft, Asmongold, go ahead, show any evidence of that. I'll wait. Or are you just making shit up?
It's that simple. Not hiring people, not hiring white people has been going on for quite a bit for the last 4 or 5 years. I can't speak on how much that's happened.
This isn't about hiring people. This has nothing to do with white people. And again, programs that provide additional opportunities to black people are not removing opportunities from white people. This is like kindergarten logic, guys. Come on.
I'm just saying Ubisoft saying that they're not endorsing an agenda is patently untrue. Our mission has always been to entertain players and enrich their lives with original stories. The setback should not discourage us, but serve as a learning experience and drive us to act more quickly. More than ever, let's continue to believe that our ability to bounce back while approaching the challenges that we face with lucidity and determination. I'd like to thank you for your commitment, reiterate my confidence in our collective ability to surprise and meet expectations with the growing number of passionate players in the long term. Well, the long term really isn't looking very good.
Now, that we can absolutely agree on. Ubi is a shit company. They're doing everything wrong. All of the games they've released this year have been dog shit. Literally, does Ubisoft have anything besides Siege right now? X-Defiant isn't terrible. That's quite literally it. X-Defiant is the only game they've released this year that doesn't suck. Siege is the only game they have that I enjoy playing. Well, I guess Trackmania is technically an Ubi game, but yeah, no, Ubisoft is gonna die as a company. I don't see how anything other than that can happen, and it's pretty deserved at this point. It's pretty deserved.
Actually bad. But yeah, so he wrote this whole thing out. This is an internal memo. There you go. What a surprise. Assassin's Creed Shadows has been delayed, and for good reason. Do I think this delay will make the game better?
No.
Game's gonna be shit. So, but I think
like
that...
as much as I'd love for this game to be good, like I said, was it that? Hold on. No. Maybe I'm thinking of my Assassin's Creed trailer reaction video, where I was talking about how much I loved the old Assassin's Creed games, but the first like five or six games, everything up into like Black Flag and Unity were like super solid, and then Unity is where it started getting shaky, and then after that it started getting rough, and then by the time we hit what was before Valhalla, I don't even remember which one it was, but that's where I stopped playing. Whatever, was it the Egyptian one? Whichever Assassin's Creed game came before Valhalla is where they really started to just be shitty games. And it's super sad. I would love for this game to be good. I have no faith that it's going to be good.
It's like if you have a tree, and it's like, let's let the tree grow more. But the problem wasn't really the size of the tree. It was the fact that it was like the wrong type of tree. I don't know how to describe it. I don't really see...
No, it's like having a tree and then pretending that you're like watering it and taking care of it, but not actually. You're walking over with an empty watering can and turning it upside down so your parents think that you're doing it, but you're not actually doing it. And that's what I feel like has happened here.
It's 4 months. Yeah, it's 4 months in a massive thing like this. Yeah, it's too late. It's already dying. Yeah. Ubisoft board launching into investigation into company struggles. Nah, bro, like, where do you read this? Where you read this?
An old account, though.
You can't polish a turd. You can't put lipstick on a pig.
You can tell everybody that it's chocolate, but we're all gonna know that it's shit.